Hello, I'm Denise Busby Earle, a member of the Collegiate of Stepping Out, a new organisation founded by Oliver Johnson. I'm delighted to introduce Oliver, and we're going to spend some time with you today talking about his new business. Welcome, Oliver.
Thank you, Denise.
5 years ago, Oliver stepped out very senior career as Director of Leadership Consulting at Penna PLC. He then established Oliver Johnson, coach, facilitator, teacher, working internationally with CEOs and top teams in blue chip companies and disruptive startups. Oliver is 68, believe it or not, and just embarked upon his second encore career. While he intends to devote lots more time to his family, friends, travel, learning new skills, and other elements of fun, he has one piece of unfinished professional business. And earlier this year, a challenging one for most, if not all of us, in 2020, Oliver found stepping out from the top team, which is the focus of our discussion today. Oliver's a wonderful example of modern retirement, no longer a date in the calendar, but rather a process, often conducted over many years. So let's hear from the expert himself. Oliver, welcome once again.
Thank you, Denise.
So, stepping out, tell us about it. What's its aim? What's its purpose?
I suppose, Denise, I am an example of what stepping out is about. As you say, I'm 68. I'm on my second encore career. I'm spending a lot more time with travel and my family and whatever else. And at stepping out, we help senior executives to step out from the executive suite successfully. Let me introduce the Goldilocks dilemma. If you're a senior executive, as you have been, you can step out too early, which means you haven't finished the job that you had set out to do. You can leave too late, which means you hang around like the unwanted last guest at the party. Or you get it just right. Now, I've worked with over 150 senior executives on this journey, and 15% find this a relatively straightforward, easy process. For the rest of us, because I include myself in this, it's a tricky process. One, because it's complex and facing to go, how do I actually go about planning this? Two, because it can be quite daunting to go, this is the rest of my life I'm starting to think about, especially if you're successful and enjoying what you do at the moment and go, how do I find a way to to get to the exit door and beyond at the right time? And third, because lots of us just put it off. We just go, I know I need to think about this. I'll do it tomorrow. So manana becomes the sort of thing that happens. And as a result of that, stepping out um, seeks to help senior executives step out from the executive suite at the right time and do it well.
Thank you. So let's start with the customer, who in most cases with us would be the organization. Um, if they were to choose to invest in this type of program, um, what's the benefit to them for their leadership teams?
Do you know, over the conversation I've been having over the last few months, one thing has become really very clear, and it's what I would call the succession equation. Most organizations today focus on one part of the equation of succession, which is getting people bench ready to succeed. So they go, where's our best talent? Let's get it ready to take over and step into the executive suite when the time is right. The other bit of the equation is creating the space for those people to step into. And most organizations are leaving that to chance, not doing it in a structured and a thought through way. So stepping out offers the opportunity to create a stepping out policy and supporting practices to mean that it's not left to chance, and that the movement that is needed in the executive suite happens and happens well. And the people who are leaving feel that it's been a fair, open, constructive, and positive process. Don't forget that for many people, as we go through this, when we start thinking about it, it can feel something like a threat. Once you get into it and start thinking, it's actually a liberation. It's the freedom to be free from what's weighing us down, and it's the freedom to go on to the new adventures that lie ahead. So the stepping out offering is around offering individuals the opportunity to liberate themselves to what they want to do next and serve the needs of the organization at the same time.
So it's a two-pronged approach that benefits both the organization and in particular the individual considering leading or planning
Yeah.
ahead for that departure. Are there any further elements that touch the individual specifically that you'd like to share with us?
Well, stepping out is primarily a specialist coaching program. So our coaches, including you, are all people who've been on a journey themselves, so we know the terrain well. Um, that it's supported by the collective expertise that we have to bring to bear. Um, and if you think about it, most senior executives don't have the opportunity to just think and talk their way through, because every conversation you have, if you're a senior leader, um, is political to some extent. So if you say to your boss, I'm thinking of maybe stepping out at some point, that's a critical conversation.
Could be risky.
Yeah, if you say to your team, I'm thinking about stepping out, same thing. Your colleagues, the same thing. So stepping out provides the safety of an experienced person who's only interested in you and will be your provocateur, will be your supporter, will be your helper, will bring you expertise. But it's creating a safe space for you to do the thinking you need to do.
Fabulous. I'm aware from our joint experience and the experience of other members of the collegiate that thus far, this approach and response has been cross-sectoral. Is the stepping out approach bespoke?
Yes, and it's always bespoke. First of all, for the individual, every individual is unique. Every individual is different. Every individual's context is different. So it needs to be a bespoke offering. I very often start the coaching process with people by asking themselves to position themselves on a continuum from, on one end, I'm at the pre-contemplation stage, which I haven't even started thinking about this. I'm at the contemplation stage, which is I am thinking about it but haven't done anything about it yet. To the planning stage, which I'm now starting to put my plans into place, and then to the execution stage, which I'm actually making it happen. And wherever the person is on that continuum, that's where the coaching starts. So it's always bespoke. It also allows people to go on a journey through discovery of go, what's driving this at the moment? Why am I thinking and feeling the way I am? What's the trigger to make me think I might need to step out? Through the thinking, which is, if thinking should precede planning, what's the deep and clear thinking I need to do about what is one of the most major transitions I will make in my life? Then into the planning. So how do I actually go about planning this? And then into the execution of making it happen. So for the individual, it's bespoke in that way. For the organization, it's also bespoke because no two organizations are the same. We work with organizations to create their stepping out policy and practices that are unique and precise to them so they will get this right. Because in many organizations, talking about stepping out is a delicate matter. It shouldn't be because it's a natural process. If you step in it, inevitably you will step out. But how do you make it safe? How do you make it positive? And therefore, how do you make it effective?
It feels and sounds like a great way of long-term planning, which many senior executives are involved in day in, day out, and changing the focus of that spotlight to long-term planning for themselves as individuals and their families and friends who may be affected as well by this
And
type of
it's
change.
maybe worth saying that we will start with people who it will be 5 years before they step out. There are other people, but it'll be 2 months before they step out.
Yes.
The guiding rule is as early as possible within reason, but also it's not just the individual who's stepping out. As you say, it involves partners, family, the organizer. There's lots of other things need to be brought into the consideration as well.
But a fabulous part or end bit of the talent and succession planning stream for any organization.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oliver. Respecting confidentiality as we do as coaches. Is there any feedback, or are there any sound bites that you've gleaned and which our clients have invited you to share that may help organizations to decide whether this type of investment may be one for them, or individuals who may choose to self-fund, whether they would like to embark on such a
Yeah.
program?
I actually captured some notes in this, so I have them in front of me. The From an organizational perspective, I have two. The first one is from a chief HR officer of a large company, and she headed up the European dimension of that company. And she said, "Why has this not been available before? I'm only now realizing that we need this." And I think that's a common thing in terms of going, why, once people hear this, they go, that makes sense. We should be doing this. Why have we not done it before? Um, I think it's a need that hasn't become a want yet. So it's early days in developing it. The second one, again, was from a senior chief people officer, who said our senior succession planning can't be successful unless we address the missing half of the equation, creating the spaces on the top team for people to move into. And that was where I first started to understand how stepping out fits with the succession agenda.
Yes.
And then from an individual perspective, the first one, the first comment is from a chief executive of a substantial company who was of the highest reputation and looked incredibly confident and comfortable in the job that he did. And it was early on in the coaching, and I said to him, "What's the cost of leading an organization, a complex organization like this, through the challenging times that you're going through?" And he thought for a long time, and he said, "Do you know, honestly, it feels like the bridges to all the other aspects of my life are burning."
Wow.
And I said, what do you mean by that? He said, "The bridge to my health, the bridge to my family, the bridge to my future, the bridge to all the other friends and people that I know, they're all burning to keep this thing going." The reason I mention that is the facade that very often as senior leaders we need to put on to the world actually doesn't give us a sense of what's going on behind that facade. And when he had the safe space and the confidentiality to really think about this on his own, he did. And I'm delighted to say um, that is a real success story in terms of when he finished, what he went on to do, and whatever. But for me, it was a real insight into the difference between what we present to the world and what's actually going on. And the second one is, "My exit now feels in control, although still a bit scary," which I thought was just a really honest way of doing it. And the third one was from who's someone who's very senior. In a pharmaceutical organization, and she said, "The support I've received has restored my faith in the company. It demonstrates that it cares about me." And then she laughed and she said, "You know, that's interesting because I sit on the executive team."
Uh-huh.
So it was about, I'm in charge of all of this,
In
I'm
charge of it.
responsible. But actually it needed to demonstrate it to me.
Thank you. Very, very powerful messages indeed, which convey the benefits of this approach. So, in closing, Oliver, for those who've listened with interest, if they would like to pursue discussions about introducing stepping out to their organization, what should they do?
Right. Well, you can get all the contact details on our website, but I think just to keep it simple, we'll put up now details of my contact details. So
Great.
please contact me directly, and I would just love to hear from you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you, listeners. Have a great
Please,
day.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.